Today, I'm going to take English vocabulary for houses from a fairly random site on the web. I'm not associated, and that's why instead of just reading something off, I'm going to do my own thing and also go through the list backwards. Let's keep it interesting, shall we? Let's start with a sick bird. The toaster. Keep in mind I'm doing this because English learners may have heard of some or even most of these, but not necessarily all. So, a toaster is a household appliance for toasting bread. You put slices in, they get heated by convection heat from metal filaments, and poof, you get bread that is toasty. You get toast. You can put butter or jam on toast, or even both at the same time. Isn't that wonderful? Pots and pans. These are things you cook food in, but only when they're placed on a heated stove. A lot of people will call a frying pan a skillet. Historically, they are different things, but historically, a katana was a sword in general, not a specific kind. Yeah, add a few centuries and usage can change. Nowadays, the short, curved edges are what most people associate with a frying pan. I hope you found this interesting, but from a learner's point of view, consider them the same thing and you're not really wrong. A microwave. Well, what's meant is a microwave oven. The microwaves themselves are a type of radiation, just like radio waves are a type. This type is used to heat the water in food. It's very good at that, and that means the drier the substance, the less... okay, something really dry and it might catch on fire, so use it with appropriate stuff, okay? A kettle. This is for heating water, often for tea. Old-fashioned kettles are just heated on a stove. I actually have an electric kettle, but I haven't been using it. I really should, because then I can try tea more. And that's also something I really should do. A coffee maker. Well, there are different sorts of machines for making coffee. One method is percolation. So a percolator is the pot itself, but this is made of glass. Coffee is the drink made from coffee beans. I make mine from pre-ground Colombian beans. A stove is an appliance for heating and cooking food. The stovetop is often the stove part of an oven. A stovetop is often a standalone, electric-powered cooking surface. The actual part that gets hot is called the element. That's important for if you have to get a replacement. A refrigerator is the big rectangle-shaped thing that keeps food cold, usually with a part that is called the freezer. You have plenty of separate freezers and coolers out there, but normally you have a combo with the freezer at the top. I'm sure there's a scientific reason why. In casual English, people just say the fridge, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's good to recognize the full word. A pantry can be any large cabinet or an entirely separate room. It's where you keep food that is considered non-perishable, as in it doesn't need to go into the fridge to keep it from spoiling. A good example? Spices. I'm not a celebrity streamer, so I don't have a fancy pantry. The oven, or the oven section of a stove, is an enclosed space used for baking food. As one example, you can bake bread in an oven. My father used to have this tiny convection oven, convection means pot, and made small loaves of bread that were very nutritious. The singular for loaves is loaf. 1 loaf of bread, 3 loaves of bread. The floor of the kitchen is that flat thing you walk on. It's not complicated. But in Canada and the US, we would call this the first floor. In the United Kingdom and in some other places, you'd call it the ground floor. After all, it's roughly the same elevation as the ground outside. Cabinets are the storage spaces with doors in a kitchen, usually made of wood. People put in a lot of effort into getting nice cabinets. Silverware is a term we still use for the utensils we use for eating, like forks, spoons, and knives. It doesn't mean they're actually made of silver. Regular folks have been using steel utensils for a very long time, but it's still called silverware. Napkins are little cloths people put on their laps while eating or use to wipe their mouths. That's the context for the lower class version, the paper napkin. Glass as a substance is used for windows and has been in most of the world for a long, long time. But a glass is a container for liquid to drink out of. I mean, of course, they're usually made of glass too, but what's more important is that it's a style of container for drinking stuff, be it water, milk, juice, or alcoholic beverages. A wine glass is an even more specific style. We also have cups, which are usually in a particular shape with a handle. It gets confusing if you have something shaped like a cup, which is also made of glass. As you might imagine, people used to confine glass to, something made of actual glass. But these days, if it doesn't have a cup handle, It's a glass, no matter what it's made of. Similarly, cups used to be known to be made from earthenware of some sort, and then someone invented plastics. They changed all the rules. The dining room is, as the name implies, a room set aside for dining. So the dining room table is the table meant for people to eat at. It's nice when people have family dinners at the dining table. A rug is a soft, decorative covering that goes on the floor. If it stretches wall to wall, it's a carpet instead. That's the main practical difference. A TV is short for a television. The short version people use will depend on the location and the era. But in Canada and the US, if you say TV, everyone knows what you mean. Calling it the tube may work with some people. The telly? Maybe not. No, probably not. That's British slang. So the TV remote is the remote control specifically meant to control the television. It is a prized, treasured device and is the object of frequent and vicious struggle within the home. A couch is a long stuffed piece of furniture that is supposedly comfortable to sit on or lie upon. A couch has arms on it. You could also call it a sofa. A normal English native doesn't care about the difference. An armchair is a large stuffed chair that has arms, as in arm rests. A side table or end table is a small table meant to sit at the end of a couch or the side of an armchair. I don't think it works the other way. Could you say the end of an armchair? It doesn't feel natural. A coffee table is a low table placed in front of a couch or sofa. As the name implies, you could set a cup of coffee onto it. Note that yes, you could potentially have a glass of coffee, but that's not how people say it. So a cup of coffee is always the natural sounding option. And hey, the handles help. A living room is a room for relaxation, be it conversation with friends or family members or watching the TV. A den is a less formal, less fancy version that isn't necessarily for other people. It could be just for yourself. Maybe it's for yourself and a few friends. Maybe you don't have friends. Maybe you're watching television by yourself. That's okay too. Now, where does den come from? Foxes live in dens. The word is associated with cozy and with privacy. If you pour all kinds of money into a home theater setup, one might call such a thing a man cave. Well, that term was popular a little while back. I find the phrase humorous. Do you? A bed is the piece of furniture a person usually sleeps on. It's better than a sleeping bag on the floor. Sheets are the thin cloth coverings that are stretched over the mattress, which is what you physically sleep on and which supports your weight. Sheets are meant to be comfortable. Blankets are meant to preserve your body warmth and go on top of the sheets, and when it's cold enough, over you too. A pillow is the hopefully soft thing you rest your head upon when you sleep. I can't even imagine using a rock to support my head like people did ages ago. A lamp is a device for light. Once upon a time, lamps used oil or kerosene, but nowadays we refer to lamp bulbs because, hey, electricity has been a thing for a while. A bedspread is a covering that goes over the top of the bed. You also have quilts and comforters, but the difference won't matter for casual conversation. A wardrobe is a tall piece of furniture with doors that you can store clothes inside. It's like a cabinet for clothing. A dresser has drawers for storing folded clothes. Some clothes, it's fine to fold. Some clothes do not work well with folding. A closet, well, a lot of people use this for a wardrobe. If it's not a piece of furniture, it's actually a small room that contains clothes. It's the pantry of clothing. A washcloth is a small cloth for cleaning yourself in the bath or shower. Now, in North America, a bathroom is a room with a toilet and a sink. Actually having a bath or even a shower is case by case. If there's a sink, you can wash yourself. That's enough to qualify as a bathroom. There's different kinds of soap, but the basics are a bar of soap, something shaped as a rectangle or vaguely like a rectangle, or hand soap, something you squeeze or squirt or whatever out of a bottle into your hand. Add hot water, and there you go. Once you wash, a towel is the larger cloth you use to dry yourself. A toothbrush is a brush you're supposed to use for cleaning your teeth. I'm sure they have other uses, but that's beyond the scope of this segment. Toilet paper is paper-like tissue you use to clean yourself after using the toilet. The less it feels like actual paper, the better. That would be rough in both senses. The toilet itself is a so-called fixture. It's literally attached to the floor. It's fixed in place. As you probably know, it has a seat, a lid, and a handle to make the water flush. In North America, that's all you need to know 99% and up of the top. Other varieties may pop up in other parts of the world, but they are rare in North America. The mirror is the reflective glass surface you use to see yourself. Bathrooms, kitchens, and other places have counters, and these are fixtures that you use while standing. You put stuff on them and pick stuff up from them. Simple enough. The bathtub, if you have one, is the big container you fill with hot water for bathing. An area that sprays hot water at you while you are standing is a shower. For outside the house, a yard is what North Americans will refer to for the grass and so forth outside of a house. It doesn't matter if it's front, back, or sides. If it's outside and on the property close to a house, it's the yard. The UK will call this a garden, but in North America, a garden is usually much smaller than a yard and is meant specifically for growing plants, usually flowers or vegetables. So, people will get specific. Flower garden, vegetable garden. This is very common English. When you have enough steps to go between different levels of a house, we call them stairs, as in a flight of stairs. The roof is the surface that covers a house. The type that's tilted to form an inverse V, that's a gable roof. You know, Anne of Green Gables? I live in Atlantic Canada, but not on the island that story took place at. The porch is a covered outdoor space. I mean, you at least have some kind of short roof to protect it from the elements. If it's raining or snowing, you're probably indoors, but in summertime, you might sit in a chair on the porch and relax. For houses, a hall is a space that connects between rooms. A garage is a building that isn't meant for people, it's meant for your car or truck. That keeps your vehicle from having snow pile on it in winter. It's a garage whether or not it physically connects to the house. A basement is a part of a house below the surface of the ground. You get a basement by hollowing out the foundation, which is what supports the weight of the house. Finally, the attic is the reverse, a space directly under the roof. Most people don't want to use an attic to live in, but attics often get used to store stuff and keep it out of the way. Was this helpful to you? I certainly hope so. I wanted to make it as entertaining as possible and also teach a few things. I felt it was better to do a whole bunch of related things so that you'd form connections inside your brain. That should make things easier to remember. Take care.